In this tried exercise, we are asked to find the domain of f of x equals the cube root of 3x squared minus 1. Now, for a cube root, there aren't any restrictions on what the value can be. The value can be any real number. So there's no restriction from it being a cube root. We need to look at what's under the radical. In one of our previous exercises, we had a rational expression, a fraction, so we knew the denominator couldn't be equal to 0. But in this case, we don't have a fraction. We have a polynomial, quadratic 3x squared minus 1. Quadratic expression, there's nothing that limits x there either. So the domain in this instance, because there are no restrictions for a cube root as far as what can be under the radical, and there are no restrictions as far as the polynomial that's under the radical, the domain is just going to be all real numbers. Now, in interval notation, what we were asked to find, this is just negative infinity to infinity. So it would be open bracket in negative infinity, infinity, close open bracket. I guess that was a little bit of an oxymoron. Another open bracket to end the domain in interval notation. So when there aren't any restrictions on the radical, if it's an odd index, for instance, and there aren't any restrictions for what's under the radical, there's not a rational expression or some other radical that's under the radical, then the domain is just going to be all real numbers. And in interval notation, that's negative infinity to infinity.